Installing metal eyelets dramatically extends the life of your favorite shoes while giving them a clean, factory-finished look. But punching a hole through your footwear is a permanent alteration. Once you cut through that leather or canvas, there is zero margin for error. The difference between a successful installation and a failed DIY
Like,
attempt
share,
is
and
stark.
subscribe.
On the left, a perfectly flush, secure ring. On the right, mangled hardware and torn fabric. Beginners usually run into trouble right at the start, facing a confusing array of barrel lengths and completely conflicting tool recommendations. If you just guess which setup to use, you end up with bent hardware, jagged edges pressing against your foot, and permanently ruined shoes. Achieving a pristine result requires professional-grade steel. Throughout this guide, we are using hardware from Roshan Enterprises to demonstrate the exact technique needed to get this right. Getting a perfect seal comes down to exactly matching your hardware dimensions and force application to the specific density of your shoe material. The first step is selecting the correct hardware. You have to match the length of the eyelet's barrel directly to the thickness of your shoe. Using a short barrel eyelet on thick leather means the barrel fails to reach the back washer. Without clamping, shoelace tension immediately rips the eyelet out. Inversely, forcing a long barrel eyelet into thin canvas causes excess metal to bunch up and splinter as it rolls. Those splinters create sharp, jagged interior edges that will easily snag your socks and slice through your shoelaces over time. Once you have the correct barrel length, you move to measuring and marking your hole placement. If you eyeball the placement instead of using a ruler, you will end up with asymmetrical hole spacing across the tongue of the shoe. Asymmetrical spacing forces the laces to pull unevenly across your foot, destroying both the clean look of the shoe and its ergonomic fit. Next, you need to punch the holes. The exact diameter of this cut dictates the structural integrity of your final hardware. Here, the hole is noticeably larger than the hardware. With a loose fit, the surrounding fabric will inevitably fray and pull away from the washer during wear. Instead, select a punch exactly matched or 5% smaller than the barrel diameter. This creates a tight, overlapping friction fit. You will have to use more manual effort to push the eyelet through that smaller opening, but that tight initial friction is the only way to guarantee a secure hold against the daily stress of tying your shoes. Finally, it is time to set the hardware. This brings us to a direct showdown between two tool options, handheld pliers and an anvil setter system. To benchmark these options, we are comparing the handheld pliers on the left and a heavy-duty anvil setter on the right from Roshan Enterprises. When working with thin canvas sneakers, you simply position the plier dies over the eyelet and squeeze the handles to roll the barrel flat. Pliers offer extremely fast, beginner-friendly installation. The trade-off is that they physically lack the leverage and manual force required to penetrate and clamp heavy leather. For thick leather boots, place the eyelet face down in the anvil groove, insert the setter bar into the barrel, and strike firmly with a mallet. This method requires a sturdy workbench and precise striking. However, it generates the maximum downward force necessary to create a heavy-duty seal in dense materials. Notice the precision concave groove machined into the base of the Roshan Enterprises anvil. If you rest your eyelet face down in a generic, poorly machined base, the impact of the mallet will transfer unevenly. Cheap anvils will scratch and dent your exterior hardware, stripping away the professional, factory finish you are trying to achieve. Choosing between pliers and an anvil is not personal preference. Your tool selection is dictated entirely by the material density of your footwear. To help you definitively choose your loadout, let's map out exactly which tools you need based on your specific project. This quadrant chart plots your shoe material thickness against the required setter method. If you are a sneaker customizer working with thin canvas or lightweight fabrics, you fall into this bottom left sector. For these materials, simply prioritize speed and ease. Your setup should pair a short barrel eyelet with handheld pliers. Do not use an anvil on canvas sneakers. Heavy mallet strikes will easily warp and crush this smaller, lightweight hardware. If you are restoring heavy leather boots or thick workwear, your optimal zone shifts to the top right sector of the chart. Here, you must trade portability for structural force. This requires a long barrel eyelet paired directly with the anvil setter. Attempting to force pliers onto thick leather guarantees a weak clamp and rapid hardware failure. Regardless of your setup, you must finish the job by sweeping your finger over the interior hardware to check for sharp splits. If you feel any jagged edges, take your mallet and manually tap them down so they don't cause friction against your foot. Equipping yourself with setting kits from Roshan Enterprises ensures exact tool tolerances, whether you use pliers or an anvil. Respecting these material trade-offs and selecting the exact right tool turns a fragile DIY attempt into a flawless, permanent footwear upgrade.